Hello, in this video I'm going to cover how to write the equation of a line if you're given 2 points. Okay, so take notes if you're taking notes. Writing equations of lines given 2 points. Okay, so the first thing you need to know is that we need M, slope, and B. Okay, so we need these two things in order to write the equation of a line. Okay, so we're going to use the slope formula, which is, hopefully you have this memorized by now, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, so we're going to use that to get our m, and then to get our b, we're going to use y equals mx plus b. Okay, so we need m and b in order to write the equation. And this is how we're going to get our m, and that's how we're going to get our b. Okay, so let's take a look at an example here. Write the equation of a line that passes through 0, -8, and -1, -1. Okay? All right, so again, we don't have slope and we don't have b, so we need to find those things. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do here is find m. Okay? And we are going to use the slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, and then after we find the slope, then we're going to go over here and we're going to find b because we need m and b. Okay, and we are going to use y equals mx plus b to find it. Okay. All right, so once we have these two things, once we have m, once we have b, then we can write the equation of our line. Okay, so let's take a look here. All right, so up above this first point, this is going to be our first x and our first y, and this will be our second x and our second y. Okay, so when we use this formula over here to find m, so I'm going to plug in y2, our second y, which is right here. So that's -1. Minus, I'm following the formula, minus y1. And y1 is right over here. So that's -8. Make sure you use parentheses to help keep your negatives organized. All right, down below, it's going to be x2 in here. So let's look up above. x2 is -1 minus x1. And here, x1 is 0. Okay, so now that I've plugged in for all of my x's and y's, I can work this out. And one thing to remember is if you have double negative, like you do up in the numerator, right over here, I'll do it in red. You have double negative here, so this is going to become positive. Okay, so that's like a +8 now. Okay, so we're combining -1 and +8. So that would be 7. And down below, that would be -1 minus 0, which is -1. Okay, so this is just -7. Okay, so our slope, I'll write it underneath here. Our slope is -7. Okay, so we found our m. Now we need to find b. All right, so we're going to use this y equals mx plus b, just like we did last week. Okay, so we need to plug in for y, m, and x. Okay, so if you notice up above here, we have 2 points. Okay, and you get to choose which point you want to use for your x value and your y value in this formula. Okay, so we need to plug in for x and y. So you can choose the first point, 0, -8, or you can choose the second point, -1, -1. Okay, let's go ahead and choose, let's choose the first point since there's a 0 there. Okay, so I'm going to choose this for my x and y to plug in over here. Okay, all right, so let's plug in for y. Y is going to be -8. Our slope, we found out down here, is -7, right? Slope is -7. So I'm going to plug in -7 over here for m. And then I'm going to plug in for x. So that's over here, 0. And I am solving for b. Okay? So I get -8 equals 0 plus b, which means that -8 equals b. Okay? So now I have my m and I have my b. Let's take a look. So I have m is -7, b is -8. Once I have m and b, I can write my equation y equals m x plus b. And that's it. Okay? All right. If you have any questions, make sure you ask me in class or you email me. And make sure you do the homework.